In a moment that left the studio audience stunned and social media in flames, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert took a wildly unexpected turn when comedian Jim Gaffigan dropped a not-so-subtle dig aimed squarely at Meghan Markle. What began as light-hearted banter between two comedic giants evolved into a shocking unmasking of the former Duchess of Sussex. Colbert, known for his quick wit and political satire, didn't hold back, subtly confirming Gaffigan's jokes with raised eyebrows and a telling smirk. What followed was an unscripted moment of candor, an explosive theatrical moment where fact and sarcasm merged to paint a damning portrait of Markle's behind-the-scenes behavior. This wasn't tabloid gossip. This was televised truth-telling wrapped in satire, and it hit harder than any royal interview. As Gaffigan joked about Hollywood royalty who think they've conquered the real thing, Colbert chuckled knowingly, adding, "Well, you know what they say about marrying into a monarchy. You either bow or burn the castle down." The crowd roared, but it was the pause that followed that made viewers lean in. Colbert turned to the camera. "Not everyone's suited for the throne, especially if they come wearing a script." That line was more than a punchline, it was a knife. Insiders have long whispered about Meghan's manipulative methods, how she allegedly staged emotional breakdowns to control public narratives or ghosted close friends and longtime staff who didn't align with her image. Colbert's sly commentary wasn't fictional, it tapped into a long string of public and private incidents that have painted Markle as more calculating than charismatic. Meghan Markle's transformation from deal-or-no-deal briefcase model to royal figurehead was celebrated at first, but the glow quickly faded. While the world hoped she would modernize the monarchy, insiders say she tried to monetize it instead. From trademarking Archwell to pitching Hollywood-style content about her struggles, Markle has been accused of exploiting royal titles while simultaneously condemning the institution that gave them to her. Colbert's jabs weren't just jokes, they mirrored sentiments that have echoed in British Parliament, among former royal staff, and even within Hollywood circles. Meghan, critics argue, is less about public service and more about self-service. The very skeleton that Gaffigan alluded to, a curated victimhood narrative, has become Meghan's brand. And that brand, as Colbert hinted, is cracking under the weight of its own contradictions. During the segment, Gaffigan quipped, "She's got more exit strategies than a mission impossible villain," referencing Markle's quick moves first out of the royal family, then from Canada to California, then into multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, the latter of which fizzled into nothing more than an abandoned podcast and a severed contract. It wasn't just comedic exaggeration. Spotify executives like Bill Simmons publicly called her a grifter. Meghan's failed podcast archetypes reportedly relied heavily on production assistants, guest pre-interviews, and creative ghostwriting, raising questions about how authentic her message truly was. The Colbert segment resurrected this, hinting that Markle's real skill is in playing roles on and off-screen. Perhaps the most scathing moment came when Colbert mockingly said, "It's hard being a duchess, especially when no one's bowing anymore." The laughter in the room carried an edge. It was clear to the audience, both in studio and online, that the former late-night darling of progressive circles was signaling a shift. Meghan, once seen as a brave challenger to outdated royal traditions, is now perceived by many as someone who sought the crown's glamour without its responsibilities. When Colbert turns on you, you know it's bad. They said more in those jokes than Oprah did in an hour. Meghan's PR team will be working overtime tomorrow. What makes this episode particularly potent is its format, truth delivered through comedy. Gaffigan and Colbert masterfully exposed Meghan's hypocrisy not with direct accusations but with satire sharpened by fact. It echoed the ancient theatrical tradition, court jesters spoke truths no one else dared voice. Only now, the court is digital, the jester's mic is on late-night TV, and the royal in question is watching from Montecito. What's clear is that this moment marked a shift. The once sympathetic media coverage has begun to fracture, and more high-profile figures are subtly, or not so subtly, questioning the Meghan Markle narrative. Colbert, once a likely ally, used laughter to illuminate what many have feared to say outright: Meghan Markle's carefully crafted image is cracking, and what's beneath is far from noble. The televised mockery wasn't just another segment. It was a cultural checkpoint. Colbert and Gaffigan used comedy to tap into a broader exhaustion with royal theatrics turned Hollywood spin. They gave voice to a silent majority growing wary of Meghan's dual personas: the victimized duchess and the media mastermind. As the applause faded and the credits rolled, one thing remained clear: the curtain has been pulled back, and Meghan Markle's royal drama may just have entered its most revealing act yet. In the days following the now infamous segment, media outlets began dissecting every frame. Body language experts noted Colbert's shift in tone. Less jovial, more intentional. Analysts drew parallels between Gaffigan's sarcasm and long-standing criticisms of Meghan's chameleon nature. Adopting roles, causes, and identities as tools for brand elevation rather than genuine belief. The moment was no longer just comedy, it became commentary. Behind palace walls, sources claim the episode didn't go unnoticed. Reports suggest the Sussex camp was blindsided. Markle's team, notorious for aggressive PR management, reportedly scrambled to mitigate the blow, contacting outlets to recenter the narrative. But damage was done. When late-night TV, a typically sympathetic arena for progressive causes, begins to question your integrity, the cracks are no longer private, they're national. Even supporters who once defended Meghan began to pause. Questions resurfaced about inconsistencies in her royal interviews, her abrupt estrangement from her father, and her inability to maintain long-term relationships with former friends and colleagues. When even the funny men start pointing out the pattern, it's harder to laugh it off. And that may be the greatest irony. Meghan, a former actress, now finds herself at the center of a drama she can no longer direct. The audience is shifting. The script is slipping. And late-night comedy has declared, perhaps for the first time on such a scale, that not every royal tale ends in applause. If this moment was a warning shot, it landed loud and clear. And while Meghan may attempt another rebrand, the Colbert-Gaffigan moment proves that even carefully built personas can't outrun the truth forever, especially when the truth starts telling jokes.